I'm going to transfer you now, okay, to 212
Yes.
788 5025. That's our legal department for the New York City Department of Health, and you can ask for someone
Okay.
with that particular, with a vital records question or something like that.
Okay. Thanks.
All right, brother, here we go. Counsel's office.
Hi. I had a question concerning a birth certificate. I was transferred to this extension by Vital Statistics.
Do you need our vital records attorney? Hold on, please.
Okay.
Illegal.
Hello. I was transferred to this extension by Vital Statistics.
Okay.
I wanted to find out if a birth.
Are you on a speakerphone?
Excuse me?
Are you on a speakerphone right now?
No.
I guess I'm getting a lot of echo.
Oh, I don't know. You can't hear me properly?
Well, not very well, but go ahead.
I wanted to find out if a birth certificate was personal identification.
You wanted to find out if a birth certificate what?
Was personal identification?
If it counts as a personal identification?
Yes.
I guess it depends upon what you're using it for and who's requiring it.
Well, if I'm not using it, is it personal ID?
I guess you could call it that.
Okay. Because I think you guys have to contact the Vital Statistics department because they're telling people such as myself that it is not personal identification and it is not an identity document. They are telling me that a picture, a document needs to have a picture to be a personal identity document. So, it's some.
In order to get a copy, whether you can use your own birth certificate to get a copy. Is that what you're telling me?
No, they're saying that a personal identification has to have a picture. So, because a birth certificate does not have a picture, it's not personal identification, and it's not an identification.
Well, for their purposes, it's not. In order for if you're requesting something through Vital Statistics, you need personal ID with a picture on it of you, so that they can match you to the ID.
Okay. So the birth certificate of itself is not personal identification.
Not for their purposes, no.
Okay. But for some purposes, it is personal ID?
Yeah, I mean, if you go to get I don't know, maybe a passport, they may ask for your birth certificate. Or you go and for some other for Social Security purposes or for whatever, they may request that you provide them a copy of your birth certificate. For that purpose, then they're saying it's an ID. But for the Vital Statistics in order to comply with a request for some document, they need to be sure that you are the person that you say you are, and the only way they can do that is with a picture ID. That's why they require a picture ID.
Okay. I thought that the birth certificate was nothing more than a document that is evidence that the bearer is entitled to use the name appearing on that document, and nothing more than that. But it's not a document that identifies the man or the woman or the child as a name, but just simply it establishes evidence that that man, woman, or child is entitled to use the name. Because a man, a woman, or child is not a name.
We consider it to be evidence of your birth within the city. If we have it in our files, we consider it to be evidence of your birth within the 5 boroughs of the city.
All right.
On such a date.
So would a bearer of a birth certificate be obliged to identify themselves as a name or the name on the birth certificate, or are they just entitled to use the name on the birth certificate?
I don't think it has really anything much to do with your entitlement to use the name. There are people who, without going through the civil rights law, have adopted different name and they continue using it even though that their birth certificate shows something else. There really has nothing to do with name usage.
Right, because that's all I'm using my birth certificate as. Is not that I want to attach a name to myself like a product or a commodity, but I only want to use the birth certificate as evidence that I'm entitled to use the name, as opposed to being identified as the name, because I don't see that a man and a name is one and the same thing. I cannot become that which was given to me. I can only use that which was given to me. So I can use the name, but I cannot become the name.
Well, that's just semantics.
Well, it's true.
Well, okay, fine, whatever you want to.
Unless you have any objections that is true. Are people and names one and the same thing, or are people voluntarily identify themselves by a name and are called by names and use names voluntarily?
People use whatever names they want. However, if you, for official purposes, are going to get some documents or you're going to get whatever it may be, then you're going to have to produce a birth certificate.
Right. But if I only say I'm entitled to use this name on this document, but I am not this name on the document, is that illegal for me to say that?
You're asking me questions I don't have a context to answer you in, so I really can't give you an answer. You may want to turn to your own personal attorney.
No, I don't have one of those.
Answers on the procedures and the law that governs our keeping of a birth certificate on a file. How you use it, how you wish to use it, that's really a completely a different area.
Okay, because I looked, I try to find the law online as to the law that governs the use of a birth certificate in the Vital Statistics Act, and I did not see anything there that obliges anyone to identify themselves as a name. So I just settle with the fact that I'm entitled to use the name.
Well, as I say, you're getting into a completely different area. What usage is what names you use, whether you change the name, whether you changed it in a court, whether you change it just through usage, whether after you changed it in a court, you go back and you change your birth certificate, those are all completely unrelated matters.
Well, the owner of the name...
I cannot give you any definitive answer on this.
Right, I understand. It's just that establishing the fact that the person bearing the birth certificate is not the owner of that document, and they don't hold a legal title to that document or any information on that document. The state holds the legal title. And
I don't think it's considered title or anything like that. The birth certificate that we have is filed with us. We don't create it. A hospital or a doctor or a wet nurse, whoever it is, who's at the time of who's there at the time of birth, gives us all the information. It's placed in our files, and if a person has need of it, or any other governmental entity has need of it, it is there to be produced with all the information indicating the circumstances of birth, and that's all it is. We are a holder of the document.
Right.
We don't have title to it or anything of that nature. It's not a matter of title. It's just a document.
Well, who is the supreme authority over the document? Is it the bearer or is it the government? And who is the supreme authority over the information appearing on that document? Who has the jurisdiction over the use of?
We hold the document as it was created. If you want to change information that is on that document, then
no, I don't want to do that.
You have to provide a basis for changing it, and if that basis is met, then we can change it. If someone needs it, we can produce it. That's about it.
Who has jurisdiction over the document and the information appearing on it?
I don't know what you mean by jurisdiction.
authority, the power to control and regulate? Who has the power to control and regulate the use of the information on the document and the document? Is it the bearer?
The information on it? We don't regulate anything of that nature.
Well, is there any governmental entity that does?
Nope, not that I know of.
So the bearer of the birth certificate is the supreme authority over the use and the control of that document and the information on there?
You might be able to use it. How you control it, again, as I said, if you wanted to change something on it, you would have to conform to our requirements in order to make any changes to it. So obviously you're not the supreme authority on it.
Well, that's all I wanted to know. So that's evidence that the bearer is not the owner of that document. Because that document the bearer only has a copy anyway. So the bearer doesn't even really hold the document.
You can own a copy of your birth certificate, but there's no such thing as an ownership of a birth certificate.
Well, if the state is holding the original and will not release it, then what the state holds,
release it to the individual.
No, the state will never release the original to the individual, only copies of what they have. So if the state is holding the original...
No, first of all, it's all electronic these days. So what comes in is electronic information that gets placed in a form. And that form is then printed out on official paper to show the world that the bearer of it is holding an official copy of it. But
right.
The information is just electronic information.
And it's printed out in a copy.
It's not a matter of originals.
I understand.
It's not a matter of originals. It's not like in the old days when they used to handwrite it and you had to file a paper copy. It's all electronic now. So there's no such thing as an original.
So the information...
It's a certified copy of the information that was filed with the Bureau.
And that information in the digital form is owned by the bearer of the birth certificate, or is it owned by the governmental agency that...
It's not owned by anybody. It's just information. You don't own information. Sir, we're going around in circles. What is your...
No, it's not. I'm trying to establish whether that birth certificate is personal property, personal identification, and who it belongs to. And if it doesn't belong to anybody, is there an obligation upon the bearer to say that this is my property and I am the name on this document? Is there any obligation?
There's no property rights here involved.
Okay.
There's no property rights involved
here.
It's not a cow, it's not a house, it's not a horse.
Okay. But it's something tangible and in a certain form or medium that could be controlled under someone's discretion.
Yes, if you hold that birth certificate, you can put it up on your wall, you can tear it up, you can show it to somebody when they require information on you, you can do whatever it is you wish to do with it, yes.
All right. All right. As long as there's no authority in law for anyone to say that is personal identification, and as long as there's no authority for anyone to say that any information...
I don't know that. You're asking me a question that's way beyond my range. So maybe there are governmental entities that say, yes, you have to produce that birth certificate for us in order for us to give you SSI.
No, I'm not talking about using it to acquire benefits. I'm just saying, having it, not to use it, not to use it for commercial purposes, because I'm not. Well, my presence here does not include any commercial activity. I don't buy and sell or sell myself or my labor. So I'm not engaged in buying and selling on any level at all. I'm a member of the church. So this is why I need this information to properly identify my role and responsibilities as being a bearer of such a document, understanding that I have not asked for the document, but then understanding that in order for me to acquire certain goods and services that I would have to present that document, but retaining my rights and freedom not to identify myself as a name or a document, but rather using my entitlement to use that document in order to acquire goods and services and present that document as proof that I am entitled to use that document. That's all. Okay, thank you very much for your time, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Have a nice day.
Sure,
Bye-bye.
You too.
There you go.